Hey guys, got here, and it seems like everybody is upset about the latest patch in Dead by Daylight. A lot of this came with changes to daily play, like, quests, rifts, things, and all that stuff, daily rituals, just all that kind of thing to, keep you invested in playing the game. A lot of the changes that they have made are not resounding well with the community. There are also a couple of changes to haste that were reverted and all that stuff. And they weren't going through with the haste hinder stacking. Now people are saying things like babysitter are absolutely insane, but I feel like those are less prominent issues. There's also a bunch of reports of performance issues, which I've noticed a little bit, not quite as much as people are saying, but I've heard reports of a lot more stuttering too. People are saying that this is a very, very bad patch. I do think a lot of this is a pretty big hyperbole, but there are definitely a couple of issues. And really the main thing I want to talk about is the whole quest thing. The quest thing was something that we were really excited about because just the idea of, the daily challenges and also the, challenges for, the tomes and stuff like that. All of that stuff was kind of frustrating because you could only do one at a time. Then you'd have to change the challenge. The challenge would be like weird. And being able to just have this all in a nice little layout and be able to do them all in one game or as many or as little in one game as possible, quality of life wise, that's really nice actually. But it came with a couple of downsides too. And really, I think the best way to describe this is it's just boring. It's just not an interesting anything. So the way this originally worked, it was tied to like lore, which I don't really care about lore. I read Claudette's biography in 2017 and I was like, I'm never reading this ever again. But I know a lot of people do care about that and they've just sort of removed that entirely. Now they have said that they are going to be adding that kind of stuff back in different ways, but it used to be tied to all of this stuff and now it's really not anymore. You were basically unlocking a story as it was going, and now this is just, people are saying it's just like Fortnite, which I don't know why everyone compares shit to Fortnite. People are saying the new item rarities are like Fortnite. Motherfucker, that's like Diablo 2. Fortnite is like Diablo 2. Stop it. Anyway, I digress with my boomer rant. One of the main problems with this is not the concept of it, it's just the lack of soul. It is very, very boring stuff. It's just be chased, get chased, hit a basic attack, heal a health state, be in the terror radius, look for survivors. It's just very boring stuff you'll do just by playing the game normally, which is both a good and bad thing. It's good because you don't actually have to go out of your way to do a lot of this stuff. And sometimes, I will actually admit, the challenges that were in these things would cause people to do the dumbest shit possible, like Sabo 49 generators when you're running No Mither and on Death Hook. Like, there would be things that would make my solo queue teammates basically kill themselves in order to get that, particular challenge done. And I can say that was frustrating. So that is alleviated, but it's also now like there was the positive side of that where it would make you do interesting things that you might not normally have done. And that made people branch out and try new stuff, which makes the game, more fresh every time you play it. So that is, it's both a good and bad thing. I think this will make your solo queue teammates less prone to killing themselves for stupid reasons, but also it's just less interesting overall. Additionally, there is the whole, people have calculated the math behind this whole system now. Basically, it's way grindier than before. I think someone did the math perfectly, and you have to basically play at least 3 to 4 matches a day every single day if you wanted to finish the entire thing. Now, for someone like me, that doesn't sound like a lot. That's like, 45 minutes a day, if that even. That's on a long 15-minute game, which games don't even last that long usually. So, to me, that doesn't seem that crazy. You have to play, 45 minutes a day if you want to really do everything. It's really hard for me to quantify that because even when I had I've had regular jobs too. I went to college. I worked at Best Buy. I've had 9 to 5s. I know what that's like. I had 45 minutes a day to play a video game. In fact, I had way more than that. But I understand that means you need to dedicate everything, all of your spare time to DBD. Even though 45 minutes a day is not really that crazy to toss into a game. DBD is also not the only game that exists. So the fact that this takes even longer now to get to the highest tiers is kind of weird. But the good news is the bedrock for this whole system is good, I think. This is a perfectly fine, starting point. And really just some things like number tweaks and adjustments are kind of all we need. The problem is they keep having good ideas that get locked off by not updating enough things with them at the same time. Perfect example is the haste and hindered stacking removal. I still think right now that it's a good idea to remove that, but at the same time, they needed to buff every single haste and hinder perk related to how, tangentially strong they were at the same time. So when that change shipped, people wouldn't be upset about it because they go, oh my god, I can't stack these anymore. But batteries included is now 10%. So shit, that's actually kind of nice now. Maybe I can not have to stack multiple perks. Like, it was a good idea in theory, but they didn't follow through with it. And so when they were going to ship it, they didn't change enough things and people were pissed off. This is sort of the same exact scenario where it's a good idea in theory, being able to do multiple challenges at the same time. It's a good starting point, but they are way too conservative with the fragments that you actually get from completing these challenges, and they didn't lean into the exciting things enough. They just went with very basic, hey, play the game this amount of times per day challenges, instead of like, hey, maybe try out this perk or try out this playstyle for a game and see how that's like. So, like I said, the concept that they have here is fine, and that's why I think people are right to complain, but also people are exaggerating way too much about how bad this is. People are freaking out on Reddit. I'm not even going to show you the post, but it's like they're just doomsaying here. It's really not that big of a deal. They just need to adjust a couple of values and, inject a bit more excitement in the challenges that the game is now offering. And that's kind of really all they have to do, and we'll be fine. So I think it's all I have to say about the actual quest system. There's also been people like complaining. I feel like people are just trying to nitpick stuff now because of how much they're not liking what's currently happening, like with the quest system. But like even things like, the new singularity skin that, is, oh, it's in the, here it is. Like people are saying like this, it didn't directly match the art, blah, blah, blah. But then when you actually like compare the art, it pretty much does. They just made it a bit more singularity-esque, and it doesn't have the actual faces on the screen. And the artists themselves said that this was cool and people need to stop bitching about it. So it's basically just people like virtue signaling. The artist who made it is happy with it and thinks that people need to stop complaining. So I think a lot of this patch is people just nitpicking a lot of things that are very easily fixable. And I don't know, I guess it's a little annoying to see that. All that being said, I've been taking a little bit of a break from DBD myself, so maybe these problems are more prevalent than I'm thinking. It doesn't appear so, but because it's mostly just, a foundational issue that can be fixed very quickly with numbers and stuff like that. But I've been taking, a few days off from DBD. I've been playing Resident Evil 2 for the first time, which has been really fun. But I think for me personally, like just a new Survivor coming out, I just don't really care. Nick Cage was the only Survivor that actually made me interested because all of his perks were just fucking hilarious. They were just super fun. Aurella's perks are decent to good, but that's it. Other than that, it's just a new Survivor skin. I don't really care. It's not enough to inject new life into the game. So I'm pretty much just waiting for like 2v8 to come back or Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm at a bit of a DBD burnout myself here, and just a new Survivor is not really going to do much to change that. So that was just a little personal interjection of what's been going on with me. But yeah, overall, I think the changes here are good. The foundation's good. They just need to tweak some values to make it less stingy on like riff fragments. Don't require as much grinding, and maybe inject a bit more excitement into the challenges that we need. But other than that, I think it's mostly all okay. But that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.